The card gets declined for $34.12. You put back the chicken in the laundry pods. The woman behind you says nothing. 6 years later, you quit with nothing lined up. $25,000 sits in an account you don't touch. Between those two moments is a number that changes 7 times. Only 47% of Americans can cover a $1,000 emergency. That's bank rate this year. This is every level of an emergency fund and what each one feels like from the inside. And if you like breakdowns of how money actually works at every level, subscribe. 0. Not low. 0. There's no number to check, so you check anyway 3 or 4 times a day, the way you press on a bruise to see if it still hurts. At 0, the grocery store is a math problem you solve standing up. You hold the cart handle and you run the total in your head as you go, and you're always about $11 off, and it's always in the wrong direction. The register beeps. The card comes back, and the machine doesn't say no, it says something polite about contacting your bank, which is worse. She isn't judging you. She's looking at the little screen with her own total on it because she's doing the same math you are. You'll never know that. You'll carry that checkout around for a week. What 0 smells like is the rotisserie counter by the front doors. You walk past it twice, and something changes in how you think. You stop planning past Friday, not because you're bad at planning, because past Friday isn't real yet. Rent is a rumor. The dentist is a rumor. Friday is the only thing with edges on it. More than 40% of Americans say they have no emergency fund at all. That's a U.S. News survey from January. Researchers have a name for what shortage does to attention. I'm going to call it what it feels like from the inside, the 2-week horizon. At 0, you don't have a budget. You have a countdown. $500. It shows up from a tax refund or a shift you didn't want, and for about 9 days it feels like the end of something. Then the rear tire goes on the way to work. Not a blowout. The slow kind, the kind that lets you get to the shoulder and stand there in your work clothes while traffic decides whether to move over. The shop quotes you $340 because they won't sell you 1 tire, they'll only sell you 2. And here's the part nobody puts in the budgeting videos. You ask if there's something cheaper, out loud, to a guy who's heard that question 4 times already before lunch. He says there's a used one for $95, no warranty. You say that's fine, and you both stand there and pretend this is a preference. The impact wrench goes off in bursts. Hot rubber, old coffee, a TV up in the corner with the sound off. You drive out with $405 and somebody else's tire. So you start sorting. Problems that can wait, problems that can't. And after a while, the sorting happens on its own before you've decided to do it. $500 doesn't fix the car. It buys you the argument. $1,500. First number that feels like yours. It also does nothing. The molar starts in February. Cold water first, then sweet things. Then nothing specific, just a low ache back there that clocks in around 10 at night. You book the appointment, you move it again, and the second time the receptionist says, "No problem," in the voice of somebody who does this all day. The receptionist slides a printout across the counter before you ask for it. Estimate on top and under it, in a box, the words "payment plans available." She's already circled it. She does that for everyone, and knowing that doesn't help. You have $1,500. The extraction runs $290. You could pay for it Tuesday, but you don't. And the reason isn't money. The reason is the $1,500 has turned into something else in your head. It has a job now. It's for the car or the deposit or the month you get sick, and none of that is written down anywhere. 4 envelopes that don't exist, and between them they're holding more money than you actually have. Your friend texts about dinner Thursday. You tell her work is slammed. It isn't. At night, the tooth pulls in cold air and you roll onto the other side. Because the money stopped being money. It became an idea about the future. and ideas are much harder to spend than dollars are. Not saved, just not spent yet. $4,200. 1 month. Rent, groceries, gas, the phone, the insurance you keep meaning to shop around for, all of it. Once. The hospital bill comes on a Tuesday in a windowed envelope, and you do something you've never done before. You open it standing at the mailbox, you read the number, you carry it inside, and you put it on the counter by the fruit bowl. It sits there 3 weeks. Not because you can't deal with it. Because you can, and that changed the shape of the thing. It went from a crisis to an errand. You'll call Thursday. You don't call Thursday, you call the Thursday after that one. In the Tuesday meeting, somebody from finance says the words headcount review next quarter, and the room does that thing where everybody keeps their face very still. The guy next to you taps his pen twice. 6 months ago, that sentence would have put a hand around your throat. Today you hear it, you file it, you go back to your inbox. The envelope's still there. It goes soft at the corner from being moved for dinner and moved back, and you've stopped seeing it the way you stopped seeing a stain on your own ceiling. And what changed isn't the fear, it's the delay. There's a gap now between a thing going wrong and you having to do something about it. That gap is the whole product. At 1 month, an emergency becomes an inconvenience. $12,600. The washer dies on a Sunday with a shirt still in it. Makes a sound like a suitcase going downstairs, and then it doesn't make any sound at all. You buy one that afternoon, not the good one, the middle one, from the warehouse store, delivery slot on Wednesday, and you pay the extra $50 for haul away without thinking about the $50. Then your cousin calls. He needs $800 until the 15th. And the thing that lands hardest isn't the ask. It's that he called you out of everybody, and he was right to. Somewhere in the last 2 years, you moved into a different category in your family, and nobody told you, and there's no ceremony for it. You say yes. You know you might not see it again. You say yes anyway. 29% of Americans owe more on credit cards than they have in emergency savings. You used to be one of them. Nobody tells you the day you stop being one. And here's the part that doesn't get said. You stopped checking the balance. Not on purpose. There was just no information in it anymore. For years, that number moved every single day, and every move meant something, and now it sits there, and the app sends you a notification, and you swipe it away. Your thumb still opens it sometimes, gets to the login screen, you close it, nothing to find out. You stop checking the balance. That's the whole change. $25,000. You quit on a Tuesday with nothing lined up. Not dramatically. 15-minute meeting. You say the word resign and it comes out flat because you rehearsed it in the car, and by the time you say it out loud, there's no charge left in it. 6 weeks later, a woman across a conference table asks why you left your last position. And you tell her the truth, not a version of the truth. The actual reason, which is that your manager put a write-up in somebody's file for a mistake he made himself, and you watched him do it. She writes a note, she moves on. That's it. That's the whole scene. 11 seconds. But you've lied in that chair before. Everybody who's ever needed a job by the end of the month has sat in that chair and produced a reason that sounded professional. And you know exactly what your face does when you do it. The horizon that used to end on Friday runs out past Christmas now. You can see that far. Things that were rumors have edges. And you buy the same groceries. That's worth saying out loud. Nothing in your cart changed between month 1 and month 6. The money didn't buy time. It bought the ability to say no. $50,000. And it hasn't moved in 14 months. Inflation is eating it in a way you can't feel day to day. You know that. You know exactly what people would tell you to do about it. You're not going to. Your wife asks in October whether some of it could go toward the kitchen. The floor by the dishwasher has been soft for 2 years now. It's a reasonable question about a reasonable amount of money, and you say no. Then she asks why. And you sit there with your hand flat on the table and you can't produce a sentence. Not a bad sentence, any sentence. Because the real answer is a checkout line 6 years ago and a card coming back and a woman behind you who is almost certainly thinking about her own total, and that is not a thing you can say at a kitchen table on a Thursday night. You built this so you'd stop being afraid. It worked on the account. It didn't work on you. The fear didn't leave when the money showed up. It changed units. It used to get counted in dollars, and now it gets counted in what you won't spend, and that second one has no ceiling on it. There's no number where it switches off. That's the part nobody puts at the end of these. You built the fund so you'd stop being afraid. The fund is finished and you aren't. A card gets declined for $34.12. Somebody puts back the chicken and the laundry pods. He's 26. He's in the store you were in 4 registers over on a Tuesday afternoon. He doesn't know the woman behind him is doing the same math with her own total. He doesn't know this isn't permanent. He doesn't know it takes about 6 years. And he doesn't know that the version of him with $50,000 in the bank still flinches at a card reader. He thinks there's a number where this stops. There is. It just isn't the one he's saving toward.